KPop Demon Hunters is an animated movie by Sony, and it is the most watched movie that Netflix has ever had. It's about a girl K-pop band who is actually also secretly demon hunters and try to protect the world. Before we even talk about KPop Demon Hunters, we need to talk about what's K-pop. You might be wondering what that is. And K-pop simply is Korean pop music. And it's not even a simple one genre. It's got a number of genres with it. The most popular band in the world right now is a K-pop band. And so, and it's very popular among teenagers and tweens. So we don't even have this movie without K-pop. So a lot of parents ask, what age group is it appropriate for? And it's recommended for age 10, and I would agree with that. I think there's plenty of things like soul-sucking demons and that kind of thing that might be scary for younger kids. The demons, in terms of the animation, they're not that scary. They're borderline comical, but there are some dark themes that kind of make it a little bit more sinister that can be scary enough. There are some things, not major, but some sexually suggestive things. There's a guy who takes his shirt off and the girls are kind of obsessed with his abs. And then there's plenty of violence, but I will say that there's no bloodshed to this. So there are battle scenes where the hunters kind of kill these demons, but they sort of blow up into this sort of pink dust. So it might surprise you, but there are some positive themes to K-pop Demon Hunters. Number one, there's this good versus evil, and it's very much the message is we want to be good and we don't want to do the evil thing. They also handle the nuance of us attempting to be good and falling short of that. One of the things that I think teenagers and tweens really crave, particularly Generation Alpha, is authenticity. The main character, she's kind of afraid of revealing who she really is, kind of some of the ugly parts of herself, which a lot of us can kind of deal with that. And by the end, she's able to be open and honest about who she actually is. By doing that, she shows a lot of bravery in terms of overcoming fear. That's something that can encourage kids that watch it. Like, how do you overcome fear when facing it? And also just how temptation looks. Like, I think a lot of times we think temptation is going to reveal itself for its ugliness, but a lot of times we don't do the wrong thing because it looks so terrible. We do it because it looks really inviting. It looks really cool. It looks really attractive. And that's one of the things these demons, that form a boy band, like they look really attractive and people are drawn to it. Also confronting our own sense of shame. The characters in this movie do that. They kind of do a lot of bad things and they have to kind of confront that. There's a lot of unhealthy self-criticism, like the demons kind of get in their head and we all sort of, I think, have an inner critic that says stuff about us that's not necessarily true. And we need to be able to discern that so that it doesn't take us down a track where we end up self-conscious about ourselves. And then finally, there's very much in this movie a celebration of connection and community. And I think it's something that we were created for, that we need. And there's too much in our culture about doing things on your own. And in this movie, conquering is all about coming together in unity. There's definitely some supernatural and some spiritual themes in this. I don't think you could have a movie that has demons in it without that. The demon hunters are able to defy gravity and they have certain powers, like creating a protective layer with their music. There's also some things that might seem unsettling, particularly if you have a traditional faith point of view. There's a character who's half demon, half person. There's a demon who really seems more like a tortured soul than an actual demon. But I watched a video from a Korean priest, Father Daniel So, and he brought up an interesting point. If you take the movie literally, then you'll probably have a lot of problems with some of the spiritual themes. But if you look at it from a figurative point of view, then all of a sudden things start to get interesting. Then you start to look at, okay, this person is half demon, half person. That can very much mirror our own inner conflict with wanting to do good and then failing and then doing the bad things. So some of that kind of comes through. And there are also some of these images that come through that really match up with maybe traditional Judeo-Christian kind of backgrounds. There's a scene at the end where one of the characters sacrifices himself and sort of gives up his spirit to somebody else. So there's all these kind of different images that are in it, but when you look at it figuratively, you're really able to dive in, and I think maybe have some messages that you can dive in with your kids and have some really good conversations. If you decide that your kids are old enough and mature enough to handle this movie, I think number one, the first thing that you need to do is watch it with them. Don't let them process this by themselves. There's just too many things to kind of go through. And then ask them a number of questions after the movie is over. Like, why do you think this movie is so popular? What's your favorite part? What's your favorite song in the movie? There are so many great K-pop songs in this. So ask them what's their favorite song and why. And there's a lot of great language and themes, even in the songs themselves, there's a lot to talk about. What character do you most relate to and why? Which parts do you think are real and which parts do you think are just creative storytelling? So there's a lot of things here that you can really get into, like the main character has all these negative thoughts about herself and all these things that she feels like she needs to hide. You can even, if you take the conversation far enough, you can even ask your kid, have you ever felt like you needed to hide something from your friends or from your peers? And boy, if you even get even further, you can say, do you ever feel like you need to hide stuff from me? So there's a lot of conversations you can have that come out of this movie. Recently, I was on vacation with my family, and we had a long day, and everybody was exhausted. We were just ready to sort of sit down together, eat dinner, and just watch a movie. And we were trying to figure out what movie to watch. And my kids said, how about K-Pop Demon Hunters? And I completely rolled my eyes immediately. I thought, you got to be kidding me. Asked them what it was about. They told my wife and I quick. We looked at each other and thought, okay, fine. And an hour and a half later, I completely got it. Honestly, I thought the movie was fine. I thought the music was good. There's one song that I particularly like. But I understood. I got why they were so into it. It made sense. There's a reason that teens and tweens and kids are drawn to this and want to see it. We can either move away from that or we can shut it down, or we have an opportunity to walk with our kids in it and really guide them in the best way possible. To me, that's the best way to raise kids, is that the world is all around them. The world is doing this thing. There are images and messages being communicated to them all the time. And if we lean into it and watch this movie with them, then we have an opportunity to help them process. I can understand if you come to a decision where you kind of say, hey, my kid's not mature enough to handle this. But I wouldn't dismiss it without doing a significant amount of research, because I think you miss the opportunity to talk about some pretty significant things.